Before we get in this video, I just want to remind you guys to like, comment, and subscribe. It super helps me in the algorithm, and thank you so much for trusting me with your basketball shoe reviews. Yo, what is up guys? It's your boy WideShoes coming in with another basketball shoe review. Today, we're going to be reviewing the Air Jordan 37s. These are a premium basketball shoe coming from Nike at $185. In classic tradition, we're going to be starting with what I like the most about the shoe and going down to what I like the least about the shoe in this review. All right, now what is my most favorite part of the Air Jordan 37s? It is definitely going to be the cushioning setup of this shoe. I definitely felt the Strobel unit that is in the forefoot the most when putting the shoe on first. Basically, a Strobel unit in the front of your forefoot feels kind of like there's a mini trampoline there. Also, the shoe is fairly low to the ground and the shoe is also very stiff. So what that does is it allows the Strobel unit to give you a lot of energy return. And when that's combined with the shoe that is stiff like this, you feel very bouncy in the shoe. I will say the shoe is not the most responsive, but it is definitely bouncy. And that is something that I personally prefer in my shoes. Additionally, in the heel setup, we have the new Formula 23. I will say this Formula 23 is put in this very hard plastic. And I do think that that made the shoe a little bit more stiff. The Formula 23 was just a tad too hard for my personal preferences. I would have liked the heel to be a little bit more cushioned. Like I said, that does affect the heel to toe transition a fair amount. It's a little bit clunky, but the shoe overall does a good job in the cushioning department despite those elements of the shoe. And that double stacked zoom unit or that Strobel unit is the same thing we see in Kyrie Infinities and from the GT Run from last year. So if those are shoes you liked, this basically feels like a super, even more like amped up version of that. And I will say the cushioning is very noticeable when you put it on. So overall, the heel could have been a little bit more soft and plush, but the forefoot of the shoe, something that I really prefer to have a lot of cushioning in, is very good. And the shoe is fairly low to the ground while also being bouncy. It just does feel a little bit clunky sometimes and a little bit slow. And so for my overall ranking of the cushioning, I'm going to give it an 8.8 out of 10. All right, now what is my second most favorite part of the shoe? It's definitely going to be the lockdown support and lacing system of the shoe. So starting with the lacing system, which is something that I care about, this tongue is made out of neoprene. And it does appear to be very thin. I was very skeptical when I first got this shoe that this would allow me to really crank the laces tightly. However, somehow, I think it's probably because of the laces they use, but somehow I was able to really tie the laces tight with no pain from the laces on the top of my foot. That's something that I'm very happy to see in my basketball shoes because I really tie my laces tightly. So you shouldn't have any issues with the lacing system. And also this kind of malleable material they use for the laces, it kind of wraps around your foot. So it basically finds the perfect kind of way around your foot to hold your feet into the shoe. So it's a very unique lacing system that allows for a lot of variability in people's feet. And I had no issues with lace pain. And so also another part of the lockdown that I liked was this carbon fiber midfoot shank. It's a deep coupled outsole design. And I have really high arches, so I really like the support that I get from this carbon fiber shank. And it basically helped me kind of place my foot into the shoe, tie it tightly so I wasn't sliding around in the shoe because that shank really grabs my foot. And additionally, I would say that the wide base of the shoe provides a lot of stability. And this weave material also just really grabs your foot nicely. So when I laced the shoes up tightly, I didn't feel like my foot was sliding around. There was no forward and back slipping. And when I was cutting from left to right, I stopped on a dime with no rollover in my feet. Now, I do want to say the one part of the shoe that I really do not like for the lockdown and support is this plastic TPU cup in the back. Basically, this TPU cup here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it too well, but there is almost no padding here for your foot to kind of be cushioned against that cup. And that cup really dug into my ankle bone. And I have seen multiple other basketball shoe reviewers complain about pain on their ankle bone because of this cup. And that's something that I really noticed. I actually delayed my review because I wanted to see if playing in this shoe would kind of break in that cup. and it did a little bit, but I still always have a little bit of pain on my ankle bone when I play in these shoes. And towards the end of my 2-hour basketball sessions, I was kind of dying to take the shoe off because of that cup. I'm really hoping when they make the low top versions, they'll fix this, because that is really the only issue. Every other part of the lockdown is very stellar. Due to this mesh material and the lacing system molding to your foot, you get a lot of great stability. You don't really roll over in the shoe at all. And there is almost no issues going forward and backwards in the shoe, left and right. You're really tightly contained in the shoe, and it fits to almost anyone's foot because of the mesh materials. So basically, I'm going to give the lockdown support and lacing system a 7 out of 10. I think this had the potential to even be a 9 out of 10 if it didn't have that cut pain. But if I'm going to have pain when I'm wearing an $185 shoe, I'm basically just going to have to take points away. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 in the lacing support and lockdown. Now, what is the third best part of the shoe in my opinion? It's definitely going to be the durability, materials, and breathability. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be surprised that I said durability. However, I personally have had no issues with durability in the shoe. I think a lot of people look at this Lenovo Wave and think that it's just going to be not the most long-lasting material. However, I would make the argument that just because something doesn't look durable doesn't mean that it's not going to be durable. Additionally, when you look at the traction of the shoe, it's very, very thick, and it's made out of this material that's very strong. So I personally think that in terms of the traction, that is something that is not going to break down for a long time. Also, we have this nubuck material that wraps around the shoe right here, and that is a premium and durable material. So if you take away this weave here, every part of the shoe is going to last you a long time. And I personally have had no issues with this weave in terms of durability, and I have no parts in my traction that really show any wear and tear, despite playing in these shoes very frequently. So I personally think that the durability is good, and I personally like the materials, and the shoe is extremely breathable. I don't feel like I really need to explain why. I mean, you can straight up see what socks someone is wearing while they have the shoe on, and I had no issues no matter what socks I was wearing with my feet overheating. So I really like the breathability, and I like the materials, and I like the durability. So I'm going to give this part of this shoe an 8.2 out of 10. All right, now what is my fourth most favorite part of the shoe? It's definitely going to be the traction of the shoe. Like I said before, I believe that this traction is going to be very durable. I personally see almost no signs of wear despite wearing these for a month, and I do play basketball quite frequently. Additionally, I'll say that the bite was fairly good. There is a break-in time. I saw a lot of basketball shoe reviewers saying that the shoe wasn't the best in the traction department, and I would say that when I first put on the shoe, I did not like the traction very much, but after breaking the shoe in, the traction is very good and very consistent. I found that when I was going forward and backwards, left or right, the shoe bit in all directions. Additionally, on top of that, the shoes performed very, very well on clean courts, but on dusty courts, I did have a little bit of issues, although the wipe on the shoe is very easy to do, and if you wipe the shoe once, you do get a good return to solid traction. So basically, the shoe picks up quite a bit of dust, and on dusty courts, the shoe does not perform that well. But on outdoor courts and on clean indoor courts, the shoe's traction was very, very good, and you are covered in all directions. So for me personally, I'm going to give the shoe's traction an 8.4 out of 10, and I will say, please break in the shoe and give it some time. The traction will increase in performance over time. All right, now what is my fifth favorite part of the shoe? It's definitely going to be the fit of the shoe. I had an amazing experience in terms of fit for this shoe. Now, I have very short and wide feet with high arches, which makes it very difficult to find basketball shoes that fit. I went true to size, and that was perfect for me. The shoe runs a tiny bit long for me, but in terms of everyone else's feet, that means it's going to fit you perfectly in length. And the shoe is wide footer friendly while also having a pretty stable base. So even if you have narrow feet, the shoe should fit you perfectly fine. So the fit is going to be a 10 out of 10. Although I normally do not assign rankings to the fit, I just want to say that the materials being this kind of weave and how the lacing system works, that kind of combination is going to allow for people who have abnormal or kind of rare feet shapes and sizes to have a highly likelihood chance of the shoe fitting. So the fit of the shoe is very good. And if you have trouble finding shoes that fit you properly or that mold to your feet, I would strongly suggest trying the Jordan 37s. All right, now what are my final thoughts on the Air Jordan 37s? Personally, I'm going to give these shoes an 82 out of 100. I just think that the price of $185 for what you get is kind of too much. Also, although I didn't really mention it much in my review, the ankle support is kind of non-existent. Although I'm not someone who needs a lot of ankle support, I do think that this part of the shoe feels kind of forgotten about. The biggest cause for the score to drop was the pain that's caused by this heel cup. I don't want to have ankle pain when I play in basketball shoes. It's kind of a bummer because these did perform extremely well, but that ankle pain is kind of a deal breaker, and other basketball shoe reviewers have similar experience with that heel cup causing ankle pain. So I do think it's something that a lot of people will experience. Do I think you should at least try these shoes? Yes, I think you should order these from Nike.com so that you can return them if you don't like them. But I do think a lot of people will enjoy the shoe. I personally really enjoy the performance of the shoe. I just don't like the price, and I don't like that ankle pain. And I'm not someone who needs ankle support, so the shoe's very good in my book, but I think everyone else is going to have about an 80 out of 100 kind of experience in these. So 82 out of 100 for a final score. The shoe's not bad. It's slightly above average, but there are some major drawbacks of the shoe. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching my review, guys.